Good evening, folks, and you're very welcome back to the Boyle and Talk Sport YouTube channel. I hope you had another decent day's punting in Gloucester. I know my selections for the meeting in Downroyal were a little bit of a disaster, and for that I apologise, but thanks be to God, Cheltenham was fairly kind to us again. Bob Olinger did what I and many expected he would do in the first race, and as they say, won with his head in his chest. The same could, I suppose, in fairness, be said for Monkfish in the second race. Now, I know he did throw in a couple of sketchy jumps on the way around, and indeed that he was hampered to the point of being given a right scare by the loose eclat de rear from the Henry de Bromhead yard at the last, but uh, those couple of little blips aside, I think there was absolutely no doubt he was the standout performer in the race, and I think the manner in which he won it portrayed that fact. And you know, the lads on racing TV were saying after the race that roll on next year's Gold Cup with him. Now, the only thing about that is uh, I would have thought that maybe Willie would have a couple of contenders for that because, well, I know Kenboy is getting on a bit now, as is Album Photo, but I certainly wouldn't put anyone off backing them on Friday, but I'll deal with that more in tomorrow's video. But the point being that I would say, even regardless of what happens on Friday, that both horses would still probably have plenty left in them, because knowing the way that Willie can train them on well into their later years, I would see no reason why both would not be still on the go in 12 months' time, as well as Moonfish. So, in view of the fact that it took so long for Willie to win a Gold Cup, it could very easily be like that whole one you often hear about the buses. There's none for an age, and then a heap of them come together. Now, he's already won two in a row, so it would surprise me if he was Stephen add to that string. But look, that's all for Friday, and just continuing a quick run around of today, Wednesday's action. There was a couple of wonderful stories, the like of which only Cheltenham can throw up. We had the wonderful horse of a lifetime that is Tiger Roll winning at the festival for a fifth time, as well, of course, as winning the Entry Grand National twice. And then we had, in some ways, an even more spectacular feat in Heaven Help Us, trained by County Kilkenny trainer Paul Hennessey, winning the Coral Cup handicap hurdle, and to say that the horse won the race would be an understatement. The animal and talented £7 claiming rider Richie Condon jumped out in front, and as has been the animal's customary style of racing in all its races. And again, they did the same thing today, and again, as had been the case in Cheltenham back last October, I think it was, and in a couple of races since that, I think at least in Gorham Park, at least once. Excuse me, folks. A noted front runner, Condon jumped his mount out, and I suppose it's the old thing in racing that Ash really come back to me, but on this occasion, he didn't come back to me, back to the crowd, so to speak, and thus we were left with the phenomenon of a 33-1 Irish winner to follow Noel Meade's 80-1 winner yesterday, and the thing about today's what would we say surprise result was that, and I sit to be corrected on this, but I believe that Heaven Help Us may well be the only horse that Paul Hennessey has in training at the moment, because Paul would be very much better known as a linchpin of the greyhound racing circuit in Ireland, as in fact would winning owner John Turner be a leading figure in the greyhound side of things. Now, I will admit it's not a sporting arena I know a hell of a lot about, but I do know that John Turner has horses in yards that are a lot bigger and a lot more high profile than that of Paul Hennessey. But it just shows you that any man, if given the material and given the trust and given the time, can prepare horses to win more or less anywhere. I recall John Carr from Killaney out the road from me here winning a champion hurdle with sublimity, of course, and to see somebody like Paul Hennessey getting a win, it was in a way poignantly fitting, given that the great Tom Foley passed away recently. Now, of course, Tom lit up Cheltenham in his own way back in the day, with the remarkable exploits of the great Denoli, and of course, Tom being from Carlow, it's not a million miles away from Kilkenny, so it was a little bit, or more than a little bit even, poignantly fitting to see Paul Hennessey among the winners today, and I suppose it just proves that something I've often said in the past, that what differs in national hunt racing from the flat is that the small man, the ordinary man, always appears to have more of a chance in the national hunt than the wood in the flap. But then again, the big noises are never too far away, and after Bob Ollinger winning the first race for Henry de Bromhead, he was in luck again when Put the Kettle On, a magnificent, hardy little mare, put her neck out when it mattered most at the festival for the second year in a row. Uh, this time to land the Queen Mother champion chase, and in so doing overturn what many considered to be the Irish banker for the entire meeting in Chacon Porsoy. Now, I will admit, I did think myself that Willie Mullins' horse would end up taking the spoils, but uh, I would also say that I had slight reservations about it, because even though it had won a couple of times in Ireland over the winter, I just didn't think it was that breathtaking of performances which he had produced. And indeed, as it happened, he even fell out of second place near the line. But the story has to be that of Henry de Bromhead and Put the Kettle On and Aidan Coleman to win at the festival for a second year in a row. I know, obviously, she would be an extremely valuable commodity now as a broodmare if they were considering going that way. But if if she was to stay in training and go for the Queen Mum again next year, whether it be Chacon Porsoy or Monkfish or Shishkin or whoever else one might like to name, they will certainly have their work cut out to beat her if she does turn up in the field. And the last race I just want to have a very quick mention of is what is always my favourite race of the entire week, the festival champion bumper. We knew going into it that Willie Mullins was going to have an exceptionally strong hand. That would have been the case anyway before he also got charge of Sir Gerhard. But to be honest, anyone that has followed my list of national hunt horses to follow, which I would have posted last October or November, will know just exactly what I've thought of Sir Gerhard since the first time I've seen the animal. Obviously, it initially began its career with Gordon Elliott, and to my mind, should still be in Cullentra, even if it is under Sneezy's direction at the minute. But look, it certainly wasn't going to lose that by going to Willie's. And, you know, Rachel did what Rachel does in Cheltenham. She booted him out and ran the race to suit herself. And even though Kilcroot, who went off favourite with the bookies, which of course was bred by the trainer's mother, Maureen Mullins, did loom up turning into the straight as if it may well give owner Mick Masterson another hugely high profile winner, but Rachel Blackmore is such an astute tactical rider, as well as all the other attributes she oozes, that she had just kept enough under her cuff to repel the winner stablemate recruit, while the Dan Skelton LA Bell, who I may or may not have mentioned in my preview last night, I honestly can't remember, came home with a great rattle to finish third and absolutely outran her price. And, whether it be the actual mare's hurdle or the mare's novice hurdle, she definitely, given the excellent program of races there are for mares now, she absolutely should have no problem hitting the highest level going forward over timber. Although, having said that, even though the champion bumper is my favourite race of the entire week, I must say that unfortunately there is seems to be a little bit of a hex on horses that run well in it. Because when you think back, you have the likes of Dunguib, who was an imperious winner of it, Cousin Vinny, who won it very well, even go back to last year, Fernie Hollow, I think has only been seen once since winning it. Um, Fiona, the wonderful Mary of Gordon Elliott's that Jamie Codd came from the clouds to win it on, of course, lost her life as well. So there is a little bit of a hex on horses that win it, but or even the run well. But I would think that Sir Gerhard and LA Bell and indeed Recruit, the first three are definitely ones you're going to hear about well into the future. But anyway, looking forward to Thursday. If Cheveley Park still got off to, or rounded off the day in outstandingly positive fashion, today my gut instinct would be that they may in fact have an even more burgeoning day tomorrow, because in the first race, which is one of the novice chases, I can't even remember what it's actually called at the moment, but the wonderful Envoy Allen makes his annual appearance at the Cheltenham Festival in the first race tomorrow. The twice he has been there so far, he has won imperiously. Being honest, I see no reason why he wouldn't do the same again, provided that the move of Yard out of Gordon's to knocking down to Henry the Bromhead hasn't taken too much out of it. I see no reason why it should. And judging by how Sir Gerhard performed on his first run for Willie, I see no reason why Envoy Allen shouldn't do something similar in that opening race tomorrow. That is why, or probably why, shall we say, he is currently chalked up as a fairly prohibitive uh, 4-9 or 2-5 favourite in various places. Now, it may be prohibitive, but to my mind, it's actually as good as buying money. So, but as is always the case in these races, we must look at if something was to go wrong, what might uh, pick up the slack if something did go wrong, as was seen today, can happen with, um, as happened today with Jack on Porsche. No race is won till it's won, and no matter what the horse is or what the contest is, to consider anything a done deal at any meeting, let alone the Cheltenham Festival, would be nothing short of foolhardy. Now, barring a disaster, I would have thought that Envoy Allen should win and will win, but with respect to those that are in behind, I think that Nicky Henderson's Chantry House is definitely a player to some degree, and Henderson horses can never really be ruled out around Cheltenham at any time, but especially not at the time of the festival. I think at a bigger price, the Mick Winters trained Chatham Street lad is definitely worthy of respect as well. Now, I know at the end of the day, what he won at Cheltenham, I think it was before Christmas, I'm not entirely sure, but it was a handicap, and Darragh O'Keefe was able to hold him up and come from well off the pace to get him up in front. Now, I don't believe with Envoy Allen in the race, I honestly don't believe that he will be in position to wait for a late opportunity, because I cannot, especially in view of the fact that Jack Kennedy has rightly, in my view, retained the right on Envoy Allen. The only way I can see this race being run is the Sherman tank of a horse bouncing out in front with the intention of staying there, and if he does, I suppose it will be definitely a bittersweet sort of a victory. You know, nobody needs to be told who would have done the most to mind this horse and nurture him and progress his career to date and prepare him for tomorrow's assignment. But obviously for the sake of the horse and for the sake of the man that currently has care of him, you would hope that everything will run smoothly and according to plan. But as with Black Tears yesterday, and in particular Sir Gerhard in the bumper this evening, it's just a little bit hard not to feel a slight tinge of sadness that the man who will have done most to prepare these horses and is responsible for these horses been in the position they're in, may not get the amount of credit that he should, owing to current circumstances. Now, thankfully, Black Tears is, of course, still in his care, but I strongly feel that the Cheveley Park horses should be as well, and they won't have much luck. Life, life is a long road that has plenty of turns on it, and I feel that they won't have much luck for doing what they did to Gordon. But having said that, I would feel that they could, in fact, have quite a good day tomorrow, because I would be of the opinion that the Willie Mullins train Allaho could go very, very near to landing the spoils for them again. But just while I think of it, before I go on to that particular race, I must also mention the Dan Skelton trained Shan Blue in the first race, because that one was one of the first novice chasers to really impressed me at the start of the proper national hunt season, and I would stick by my assertion that the race is Envoy Allen's to lose, but if something were to go wrong, or even in terms of the placings behind him, I think Chantry House and Shan Blue definitely enter into calculations, while the Mick Winters trained Chatham Street lad is worthy of the utmost respect as well. But however, to get back to talk of the other big race on the card in a chasing sense tomorrow, which of course is the Ryanair chase. We have men currently priced at 5-1 favourite, with the Joseph O'Brien trained Fakir Dudari coming in for strong support in at second favourite at 6-1. Now, as I was saying a minute or so ago, I would feel that the Willie Mullins trained Allaho, also in the Cheveley Park Sales, is a very worthy and very live contender in this heat as well. I think whereas the like of men was most likely probably entered up in several races during the week, I get the impression with Min that he's one of these horses who may have been specifically earmarked for the Ryanair chase from a long way out. And I know Tony Mullins was quoted as saying that this particular representative of his brothers was his personal banker of the entire meeting. Now, knowing some of the artillery that Willie has to fire at these particular big meetings, that was a fair statement to come out with. Yes, Min is absolutely worthy of the utmost respect. Um, you know, aside from the time he was beaten as favourite um, in the Supreme Novices a good few years ago now, other than that, he has a very admirable record around uh, Presbury Park, and I'm supposing that Paul Townend actually had the choice of Min or Allaho to ride in the race now. Or it could be the case that Rachel has sort of more or less picked up the rides on the Cheveley Park horses during the week. But either way, I would suspect that Paul Townend wouldn't have got off Min having run and won around the course previously, and uh, there's nobody could sort of crab him for doing that. But of the two, my slight, well, of them two, my definite preference would be for Allaho, but I also wouldn't be inclined to rule out Mellon, also from the Mullins Yard. Definitely one of the most consistent horses in training, but very often ends up in the passenger seat rather than the driving seat. But if you were to put gun to head and ask me, I would feel that Allaho may well be the most likely winner with uh, either Mellon or the Nicky Henderson trained Mr. Fisher finishing even fairly close up in behind. Um, Now, of course, in between the first and third races, there is the Pertemps Network Handicap Hurdle Series final, and this, as most Cheltenham handicaps are, is an absolute minefield of a race. Bookmakers, most of um, the bookmakers will pay on the first five or maybe the first six. So if you're backing each way, be sure to check out what way your bookie is operating with regard to how many places they're playing and the like. Now, the Sneezy Foster prepared the boss's Oscar has been very well punted, despite carrying top weight, although it does have the very talented Jordan Gainford claiming £7 off it. But the boss's Oscar is chalked up at 11 to 2, only headed in the market by the Fergal O'Brien trained Paddy Brennan ridden Imperial Alcazar. Now, the O'Brien horses have been running with great credit throughout the week, but just don't seem to be able to get their heads in front. Now, the first one that would interest me in the race is the Nicky Henderson trained Champagne Platinum. Now, on ratings, he has £8 to fine with the favourite, and he has £12 to fine with the boss's Oscar. But I think the Henderson horses can never be ruled out at Cheltenham, especially in the handicaps, and especially also when they happen to be sporting the green and gold hoop silks with the white cap on Mr. McManus. But I would feel that Champagne Platinum, like Chantry House, has sort of been, how do we say, trained with this race specifically in mind, and along with um, the boss's Oscar, would certainly be high up in calculations. But another one that jumps off the page at me and is being extremely well backed this evening is the Henry de Bromhead trained Rachel Blackmore ridden Milliner. Now, again, this one is rated 126, which would leave it with quite the amount to find with those at the head of the market. But while the money coming for the Bromhead Blackmore horse may be understandable in the current climate, it seems to be a fairly sustained gamble and is worthy of the utmost respect. Whereas further down in the card, let's see. No, that's after changing. That is after changing. Just bear with me, folks, a second. It's winner each way. Here we are. Further down the card, there is now. Just be very, very careful with this. There is the Henry de Bromhead trained Milliner, who I just mentioned there, but there's also Mrs. Milliner running for Paul Nolan up Brian Cooper up, who I believe could run well at a bit of a price, as could the Dan Skelton trained Spirit of the Game, but and indeed the Willie Mullins Dandy Mag could not be ruled out either. But if I was pushed to make an actual definitive selection, rather than beating around the bush, I suppose I would be advising a few bob each way on the Nicky Henderson trained Champagne Platinum, which is about an 8-1 shot at the time of recording. That would lead us on nicely then to the big race of the day, which is the Stairs Hurdle. For a short while, for some reason best known to I don't know who, this race was rather hideously titled the World Hurdle, but it's back to being exactly what it says on the tin, the Stairs Hurdle, and I suppose, look, on unknown form, Paisley Park is a worthy 2-1 favourite at this point in time. I believe it's 2-1 is. I would make no secret of the fact that I am not a fan of the horse. Uh, Look, on a personal level, I would love for Andrew Gemmell, the owner, where the horse to win again. But from a punting perspective, I think he's there to be shot at or laid, as they say in the gambling world. I think the Gordon Elliott trained Sir de Burley is absolutely worthy of respect. However, I would be also inclined to think that it is a bit of a jump up in class for that one, in view of the fact that I'm not sure if it was the Coral Cup or the County Hurdle. He won for a couple of years at the festival, but competitive and all as the Cheltenham handicaps may be, it's still a bit of a jump from that avenue to going into one of the championship races, as they call them. You know, uh, I think the horse I had earmarked from a long way out, who unfortunately didn't make it to the festival, was the Matt Smith trained Ronald Pump, who ran an incredible race in the stairs last year, um, when unheralded more or less. But I'm going to have a crack at two against the field here, namely the Gordon Elliott trained, currently in the care of Sneezy Foster, the Storyteller. Now, the Storyteller is a horse of similar ilk to Tiger Roll, in that he never runs a bad race. He has been a complete money spinner for his owner, Pat Sloan. Now, Mrs. Sloan had some wonderful horses in the past, particularly with Noel Mead, like Definite Spectacle, Ictataph, um, Blue Cannon, who I know won a major handicap on the flat for them back in the day as well. But this fella, as I say, in a lot of ways, is of similar ilk to the Tiger. Um, Again, Keith Donoghue, who, as has been proven with Tiger time and time again, has just a special and unique way with some of these horses that can rush them into a race and just produce them when exactly needed. Uh, Obviously, does the same with the Storyteller as he did with Tiger Roll, and I would feel that it would be no surprise whatever to see them uh, there on the premises coming near the end of the contest, even though the other Cullens are represented, or one of the other Cullens representatives. Fury Road is slightly shorter in the betting, but the Storyteller rarely, if ever, runs a bad race, and he'll he'll do for me at an each way punt. While I will also be keeping a very close eye, perhaps maybe for more personal reasons than anything, on the no meat trained Beacon Edge, who, look, the best of his form here at home would certainly leave him with a bit to find on form with some of the other Irish contenders, but with Noel, after having a bit of luck over there on Tuesday, again perhaps it's no surprise to see a few bob coming for his representative here, but on the peak of his form, he deserves at least consideration, and at current odds of 18 to 1, he's certainly worth a few bob each way. And one more that comes to mind is the Willie Mullins train Bacardi's, who, you know, his form is in and out like I don't know what, but he often seems to produce his better runs in this place, and so Bacardi's and Beacon Edge, possibly among the bigger price ones to possibly run into some of the place money. But as for a nailed on tip, I would be going for the Sneezy Foster prepared, the storyteller, who is currently a 15 to 2 shot. Now, the 340 race on tomorrow's card is what? I am guessing it is the Kim Muir. It is indeed the Kim Muir Challenge Cup final. I think that's what they call it now, anyway. And even though I would earnestly try to veer away from continually tipping favourites, because I know that must get boring at some stage. But again, I am drawn to the Emmett Mullins trained the Shunter. Now, the Shunter has won round Cheltenham previously in the season, and has also collected a fairly big prize in the UK a couple of weeks ago as well, which was an ideal sort of prep race, you would think, for his assignment tomorrow. But he, again, the festival is not an ordinary meeting at Cheltenham, and good feeling would be that he again would have to step up on his form to perhaps do what many of us feel he is capable of doing tomorrow. But his cause certainly won't be done any harm by the addition of Jordan Gainford on his back, who claims a very valuable £7 off his weight. And again, it'll tell you how competitive races in Cheltenham are. We have the Gordon Elliott trained Denise Foster prepared Farcla, second in the betting, currently at 5 to 1. Now bear in mind that this horse is a former Triumph Order winner, and it gives you some indication of how competitive races in this place are. Um, you know, to see him only running in a handicap rather than some of the championship or graded races. In a roundabout sort of way, similar comments can be applied to the Joseph O'Brien trained A Wave of the Sea. Now, he was all the rage as a juvenile hurdler a couple of years ago and seemed to have lost his way and thereafter to a very large extent, but um, definitely bounced back to form in a very convincing manner the last time he ran when rattling home with Leopardstown under the very impressive Sam Torrance. So a little bit of each way support for that one is not only merited but quite understandable, and he is the pick of Mark Walsh, who I would expect would have the pick of the Martinstown runners in the green and gold silks. Um, on that, the Anthony Honeyball trained Anthony Honeyball trained Richie McLaren ridden Sully Dock is certainly worthy of respect as well. May in fact look like a little bit of a project horse, if one wants to call it that. Having looked to have come on quite significantly in his most recent runs compared to his form before that. And, Anthony Honeyball is a trainer that's on the up, in my opinion. And, everyone wants to try and get a winner in the green and gold silks, especially at this meeting above all the others. So, Sully Dock and A Wave of the Sea are worthy of very serious consideration. I would I just note the Kerry Lee trained Richie Patrick ridden Happy Diva again must enter calculations. This is an amazing little horse who always seems to pull out big performances when they're needed, and again would come into each way calculations. But if pressed for a selection, I would have thought the Shunter is a worthy favourite, and if anything were to go wrong with him, I certainly wouldn't put anyone off having a few bob on A Wave of the Sea as an alternative. The penultimate race on tomorrow's card is the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Now, for the last number of years, I think Willie Mullins has had carte blanche on this particular contest, but just looking at the betting here, and presently he's not even in the first two in the betting. The favourite currently being Rosie's Hollow from the Jonathan Sweeney stable down in County Cork, in the JP Silks with Mark Walsh up, while second in the betting is Royal Kahala, sent out by Peter Fahey and with Kevin Sexton up, while also third in the betting is the John Joe O'Neill Jr. ridden Willie Mullins trained Glens of Antrim, and it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if if the winner had the green and gold hoop jacket on, but I think Peter Fahey's horse, Royal Kahala, is definitely in her position in the market on merit. I suppose the interesting one in the race is actually a bit further out in the betting. The John Shark Hannon trained Jody McGarv ridden even Sky Ace. Now this horse was sold out of Willie Mullins for the sum total of €800, and what the Shark has done with the animal since taking control of its preparation has been nothing short of astounding. I mean, normally one would think anything that is sold out of Willie Mullins, you sort of say to yourself, well, it's not going to improve for having left there. But in fairness to the Shark, whatever he has done, he has turned the animal inside out, upside down, and backwards. And, at 18-1, I certainly wouldn't put you off having a few bob on her, but at a bit of a price, and I see there's a sustained gamble coming for the Henry de Bromhead trained Rachel Blackmore ridden Tell Me Something Girl, and even though Galois, trained by Willie in the same ownership, is actually drifting out, Tell Me Something Girl will do for me as regards the main punt, and Rosie's Hollow. Look, it would be great for a small trainer like Jonathan Sweeney down in Cork if she was to go out and land him a first festival winner, but I just feel that Cheltenham is what it is, and I think it may just be too big of a jump for her at the moment. So I would be recommending Tell Me Something Girl for the Bromhead Blackmore combination. Currently priced at 6-1, with a few bob each way on the Shark Hannon's Sky Ace at about 18-1, maybe as a saver. That leads us on then to the day's final contest at 450, which is another handicap chase. I'm assuming this is what they call the plate. Now, this race has had several different incarnations as the years have gone on. Now, at the time of recording, the Denise Foster trained Mount Ida is 13-2 favourite with Jack Handy. Now, I could totally understand why um, why the horse would be so highly thought of in the betting coming from Collinsra, and given that stable's remarkable record at turning out festival winners in recent years. But I have to say, and it's very seldom I do this, but I wouldn't be inclined to pile all my eggs into that basket. I think the Philip Hobbs trained Richard Johnson ridden Dacia Abba in the Trevor Hemmings, familiar Trevor Hemmings green and gold silks, also deserves uh, generous mention, as does Hobbs' other runner, Musical Slave in the McManus colours under Tom O'Brien. And again, we find ourselves giving mention to Henry de Bromhead's representative, Plan of Attack under Rachel, although the difference being in this instance, unusually the horse appears to be drifting rather than coming in for support. There's not really a whole lot that would jump off the page at me. I suppose just looking down the runners here, I suppose I would have to say that the John McConnell train Go Another One would be meriting respect. I see Simon Turns' claim is now down to £3, but it was horses like this lad that really launched Simon Turns into the big time over the last months and maybe year or that. And the other one at a very unusually big price for me. I have been sweet on some of the Venetia Williams horses already this week, and it hasn't stood me in too bad a stead. Cloudy Glen down near the bottom of the odds at 33-1 under Robbie Dunn. Just keep it in mind, it may appear on the horizon, but of course I'm just noting here that stable jockey Charlie Dutch is riding the Dero Vallis for Venetia, who unusually, like Sky Ace in the previous race, is one that was let go out of Willie's, let go by Rich Ritchie, in fact, and just again, along with the other horse, Cloudy Glen, belonging to Trevor Hemmings with Venetia. Both of them deserve respectful looks, but if asked for genuine, I suppose, to finally nail down a selection, if one wanted to call it that, I would go each way for Henry and Rachel again with Plan of Attack, currently priced at 17-2, and I would not dissuade anyone from having a small few bob on Musical Slave, Tom O'Brien and Philip Hobbs as well. I hope some of you have taken some benefit from my ramblings over the last couple of days. I know I've enjoyed immensely doing it. If you're fed up and bored with me waffling on, I do apologise, but I have wanted to expand and make proper use of our YouTube channel in recent months, and I suppose in the last year or so. So I hope some of you have found it informative, or at the very least entertaining, and that if you're a few bob up because of my ramblings, that's all the better. I will talk to you tomorrow evening. We'll see how we are going into the final fling, and I will hopefully be talking to you with slightly heavier pockets again.